Hey guys, well here's an update on our Derby Camaro, and we've been busy doing some body work. As you can see, we've started doing a lot of the creasing, and actually I'd say we're probably about 80% done at this point. So we've gone ahead and formed those rear fenders in and done a lot of the creasing. Mostly this was done by hand, but a little bit with an air hammer. Still want to go in with the air hammer and just kind of smooth out these areas, add some more dimples in there, and just kind of, as I said, just smooth it out. But as you can see, we drew this in quite a bit from where the old panel used to be. So now it's basically reversed at this point, and I feel pretty good overall how the creases turned out. They're pretty sharp. Could be a little better, and as I said, they're not completely done, so we'll do a final forming to make sure they're nice clean lines. But as I said, you know, mostly there. Always a pain in the butt using a sledgehammer to try to drive that all in, but overall I think it turned out good. Got the trunk re-welded here. Ended up just taking the old plates off because as we went to crease this, it just wasn't working out. So we took them off, pre-formed them to match the angle, and as you can see, we also then valleyed the trunk lid. And also kind of laid this back panel in a little bit just to allow the trunk lid to crush down. And I think overall it'll work. The rules do allow that we can valley the trunk just as long as we don't smash down the side fenders and that the drip edge remains in the stock location. So we have done that. We've only creased in here, but the drip edge for where the hatch was, that is all still good. Now, one thing that was brought to my attention, I was nice enough to get a message by the promoter who saw some pictures I had posted on Facebook of this vehicle, and he notified me that I need to redo this bar. We didn't have a speaker deck in this car because it was a hatchback, but the rules state that this back bar has to come from the top roof to the top of the rear deck lid. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut those welds in the plate off right here at the back, and then weld a bar that goes all the way to the deck lid and up. So that'll make this back good and solid, and hopefully that alleviates any of the problems that we have with them meeting the rules. But yeah, overall, the creasing job is mostly done at this point. My arms are well built, but I did recruit some help from my daughter and some other folks that just wanted to blow off some steam and come out and help me beat on the car. But yeah, so this side's also done as well. Again, you know, mostly there, just want to finish ball peening it to make sure it's creased well, good and tight. Might even go up a little bit farther, but that's going to be about it. Nothing in the inside of the car has changed at this point, but we did also then start creasing the front fenders here. And I've got about the same amount done on both sides, so I've gone and creased the top portion of the fender. Also pulled the fender in a little bit more against the hood as I was creasing it, just to kind of draw it all tight. The hood is sitting as low as it'll go against the core support, but that also means that the hood is now down and tucked in right behind the fender here, so that ought to hold up pretty well. The hood, we're only allowed to wire it in 6 places, but we were allowed to put all thread through the core support. So I'll show you that in a second. We've got 2 pieces there, so that counts as 2 locations. And then what we'll do is we'll wire probably about here and then above the front wheels. So we'll put some wire there to actually hold the hood down. Again, that's just following our rules. We are going to also then do what we did in the back, which is continue the ball peen this in here too, just to kind of draw it in tighter. And I would like to try to achieve a crease here as well. So the front still needed a little bit of work, but the back is mostly done at this point. So yeah, just kind of keep moving along here. So as I said, this fender also looking the same. We creased the top. I think this side turned out a little bit better than the other side, but the line's still pretty good. So the creasing job overall, pretty happy with how it's turning out, but we're going to go ahead and keep on filling in a little bit lower here as well. We pop the hood open to show you what else we've been up to. Sorry, I'm doing this all one-handed, so bear with me. Sorry about shaking the camera so much. Alright, so as I said, we went ahead and we put all thread through the core support. We were allowed to do that if you were to run like a full-size Crown Vic or something, you would put the all thread through the core support, maybe add some kind of a spacer between the frame, and then you would have to mount on the core support mount. This is where you would go through. Or the body, body mount bolt, core support bolt, however you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. But in this case, we don't have that. It's actually, it's a unibody car, and the core support is spot welded onto the frame. And so, one, that made it really difficult to get the motor in, because I couldn't just pop the core support out. I mean, I could, but I would lose a lot of benefits from strength from that standpoint. But I talked to the promoter, and he allowed me to put the all thread through this inside frame rail and then out the top. My concern was just the fact that, hey, when I weld the plate on for the bumper, you won't be able to see it, but he said, I understand, but based on the construction of this vehicle, that would be fine. So we've gone ahead and done that. You can see the nut is right there for the all thread. That sticks up right out the top. I put another nut here just to kind of cinch this all tight, and then we'll put the final, once the hood's down, we'll put the final nut on top of that. Just another thing I like to do to kind of keep this all held together really nice. Certainly not necessary. I know guys that will just run this and just kind of leave it semi-floating, but if you want to do it right, do it strong, I would suggest you put at least one nut here and maybe even some other ones along the way, underside or whatever you want to do. So there you go, guys. That's the update on the Camaro. Majority of our time was spent picking away at creasing. Come out here and work for maybe a half hour or an hour or so and just get a lot of the forming and the hammering done. Yeah, I know doing it by hand takes longer, but it's not necessarily all about just trying to be as quick as I can be with it. I was kind of working the metal a little bit by doing it by hand, and it's, yeah, it's just somewhat therapeutic to be out here and do all that by hand, take out some frustrations. I don't know about you guys, but my job isn't always the easiest, and sometimes it's just kind of nice to blow off some steam and hit a car. So that's what we've been doing. So there you go. There's an update on the Derby Camaro. It is coming along well, and we look forward to being able to get this thing driving out and doing some more test runs now that the weather is finally starting to warm up here. So there you go, guys. There's an update on the Camaro, and until the next video, we'll talk to you later.